everyone, I hope you enjoyed my last video. I've had a lot of people ask me what our favorite way is to flavor our meals, so what my favorite seasonings and sauces are that we use on like a daily basis. I actually just filmed a segment with Andrea for MVTV and we talked about all of that, so make sure that you guys check that out. But today what I will share with you is some of the things that I wasn't able to talk with her about, so some of the other ingredients and stuff that I keep in my kitchen that I use for everyday cooking. Alright everyone, I'm going to have my young guest, Kirsten. She's going to help me go through all these things with you guys. So the first thing that I always like to keep on hand is any kind of grain. So pasta, rice, bread, tortillas, that kind of stuff. I just have a big container that I use a label maker with, and this is where I put like our just everyday white rice in it. For those of you who don't like to cook or are very uncomfortable in the kitchen, they have these nifty little packets now. This is one of our favorites. This is just quinoa and brown rice. It's already seasoned with garlic. You just tear it open and vent it, pop it in the microwave. I think it's like for like 90 seconds, and then you have cooked rice. So if you're not well versed in the kitchen, these are really great. Another thing, like I said, is pasta. So again, this is one of the brands of pasta that we use. This is actually chickpea pasta. So I always have pasta on hand, all different styles and varieties. And then also, same thing as the rice, they now have these nifty ready-made pastas. Same thing, you just vent it and put it in the microwave for like 60 seconds and you have cooked pasta. And then, like I said, bread. I always have bread on hand. So this is just one of the brands that we like, is Sincerely Butter Bread. The girls love this for sandwiches. Just tastes better, doesn't it, Kier? Yep. And then tortillas. We keep, the little tortillas are really handy for some snacks and for like quick cheese quesadillas for the girls for lunch. But then we also keep the bigger ones too for like burritos, enchiladas, all that kind of stuff. So the next thing is meat. I always have meat on hand. What we typically do is I will buy it in bulk. So anytime meat goes on sale, I'll get way more than we need. And then we'll just come home and we will individually package it into freezer safe bags. And then, like for example, if it's ground beef, we'll write what kind it is. This is 8515. But I always have that stuff in my freezer.
That's cold.
And then some other meats that we always have is canned meats, so canned tuna, and then canned chicken or turkey or canned beef, whatever. I always like to have some canned meat on hand too for those days that inevitably I'm going to forget to lay out whatever protein I'm cooking with. This is really good to use in place of that.
I
Got 'em?
How do I hold them?
There you go. And then another thing I always have on hand is sour cream. Obviously we use this in a lot of like our daily cooking and any Mexican style dishes that we use, but it's also really good for baking as well. So I always have that on hand. Got it?
Yeah.
And then frozen vegetables, all different kinds. They're really easy as like a quick, easy side dish. But also I found that my kids eat vegetables the best when they're frozen, and then I roast them with a little bit of Italian dressing seasoning on them. They eat them the best that way. So always have frozen vegetables on hand. And then another thing I like to have is canned condensed soups. Our favorites are cream of chicken and cheddar cheese, and I use these a lot in different kinds of soups and casseroles. So always have these on hand. Got those, babe?
Yep.
And then kind of along the same lines, I always have tomato sauce and tomato paste. Same deal as the canned soups. It's really nice to make sauces, especially for pasta dishes, chilies, that kind of stuff. So I always have these on hand. Got those?
Yep.
And then another thing that I always have in my pantry is beans. So I tend to go for dried beans just because they're way cheaper than canned beans. And I have an Instant Pot, so with that it doesn't require any pre-soaking, so I can still cook them really easily and quickly. So I always try to have some dried beans on hand. But there's also those days where inevitably, like I said, I'm going to be running behind, and so canned beans are a huge convenience and they're a good source of protein too. So there you go. And then another thing I like to always have on hand is heavy whipping cream. So I use this a lot in my cooking, but also obviously a lot in my baking. So this is really great to have on hand. You have that, baby?
Yep.
And then milk. This one is a huge milk drinker, and so is my oldest. They would both go through a gallon a day if I let them. But I tend to kind of conserve it a little bit so that I can use it again in cooking, casseroles, stuff like that.
Gonna be heavy, gonna be heavy.
Gonna be heavy, gonna be heavy.
I
that little dairy theme. All the cheeses. Our family loves cheese. It's kind of like bacon. It makes everything better. So I always have lots of different shredded cheeses on hand. You want to put that over there?
Yeah.
Got it. Different sliced cheeses for sandwiches. That. String cheese goes like candy in my house between my kids. And then cream cheese, again, same thing as like the sour cream. Really good for cooking, but also really good for baking. And then I'm kind of running low, but white cheddar cheese slices. I use this anytime I make like queso or a white cheese dip. These are really good to have on hand too. Got it?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then of course, you can't not have eggs on hand. We go through eggs so much in our house. I've had people ask me before, well, how do you know if they're going bad if you put them in this kind of a container? They're not gonna go bad. They're not gonna last long enough in my house to go bad. We use them all the time for all kinds of things. Got it? Be careful.
Like scrambled eggs.
Yeah. And then lastly, I have all of my baking stuff. So obviously I gotta have myself some baking soda and baking powder. I feel like if I have baking stuff, then I have the ability to make just about anything. So baking powder and baking soda are definitely staples that we use a lot.
Oh, okay, that's not heavy.
No, those aren't heavy. And then same thing, cocoa powder and imitation vanilla. Obviously I would prefer to have the real vanilla, but I have kids who like to bake a lot too, so we go through it like crazy. So imitation vanilla is what gets us by in our house. There's those.
Yeah. Oh, these are heavy at all too.
No, not heavy. And then brown sugar. We go through this a lot. I use this not only in baking, but I also use it in cooking. I have a chicken recipe that includes brown sugar, and it's really good that we'll talk about at a later date. But brown sugar is definitely a staple in our house. And then I'm not gonna hand these to her because they're really heavy, but flour and sugar. So definitely have to have those in our house as well. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, I did do a segment with Andrea for MVTV talking about my favorite seasonings and sauces to flavor our food. But this is kind of a general overview of the other stuff I like to keep in my kitchen that I can use to make any kind of meal for my family throughout the week. So if you guys have anything that I missed, definitely let me know. But I think that's about it. So you want to tell them bye?
Bye.
Bye guys.